Saint Bonaventure of Bagnoregio, one of the greatest intellectual figures of the 13th century, lived during a time marked by political, social, and ecclesial developments that challenged the prevailing attitudes and structures within the Church. Responding to these changing dynamics required the development of a renewed spirit and the ability to confront adversity with dialogue and make order out of chaos.
Il genio di Bonaventura specificamente è stato proprio quello di...
Bonaventure's genius was precisely that of elaborating Franciscan spirituality, living it first for him, because he is a great saint, and also to systematize it in appropriate theological forms so that it would derive from it a useful doctrine for the entire Christian world, as well as for the religious order of friars.
oltre che per l'ordine religioso dei frati.
Born in 1217 in Civita di Bagnoregio as Giovanni Fidanza, from a young age he was known for his erudition, curiosity, as well as his incredible piety, but he was plagued by illness. His mother prayed for the intercession of St. Francis, and Bonaventure was miraculously healed, to which she exclaimed, "O Bonaventura, oh what good fortune!" In the Legenda Mayor, Bonaventure's definitive biography on the life of St. Francis, he recalls the importance of this moment. "I was also obliged by the devotion I have towards the Venerable Father. During my childhood, in fact, I remember him as it was now. Thanks to his invocation and his merits, I was snatched from the jaws of death." It was against the backdrop of this miraculous intercession that Bonaventure cultivated a deep Franciscan spirituality and dedicated his life to God. At the age of 18, he left Bagnoregio and set off to study in Paris, the intellectual hub of Europe. Yet he found a tense academic and ecclesial environment.
Allora, qual era il problema di fondo dell'università?
What was the underlying problem at the University of Paris? The mendicant orders, the Franciscans, the Dominicans, these dynamic orders had entered city life and therefore also the university, inevitably modifying the existing balances, and we know that when the existing balances are changed, it takes some time to find a new balance. The fact that the Franciscans and the Dominicans brought this new ideal of poverty, which was extremely interesting, struck, let's say, the imagination because it went against the idea of a rich and corrupt church and caused many students to go from the seculars to Franciscans and Dominicans. This success of the mendicant orders naturally creates envy, creates opposition. As always happens, this is normal in man.
Opposizioni, come sempre succede, questo è normale nell'uomo, no?
Bonaventure's university career was cut short. On February 2nd, 1257, he was elected as the general minister of the order. Just as there were broader divisions between the mendicants and the secular priests, there were also internal divisions within the Franciscans that threatened not only the unity and survivability of the order, but also the very essence of Franciscan spirituality.
Una importanza enorme ha avuto il generalato, il governo.
The generalate, or the governance of San Bonaventure, which lasted for 17 years, which was very long, was of enormous importance, and he solved two great problems that undermined the unity of the friars. Undoubtedly, the first problem was that of the different interpretation of the rule of St. Francis, who was rigorous, the so-called spirituals, who instead was more open to tolerant conceptions, above all in matters of poverty and penance. And the second problem was precisely that of regulating the Franciscan ideal in a very balanced way, always proposing with great purity this very demanding and very radical ideal of evangelical life.
Ideale di vita evangelica molto esigente, molto radicale.
Underpinning Bonaventure's legacy as a theologian and legislator, reformer and mediator is his Christocentrism. Christ is at the very center of time and history, of all order and harmony.
Ovviamente la centralità di Cristo, il Christocentrismo.
Obviously, there is the centrality of Christ, Christocentrism, and finally, his extraordinary work of spiritual growth, which is so important today, this itinerary in the mind to God which means not only finding God, but also finding man himself. In a hermeneutical dynamic, we understand the difference between the cultural context in which Bonaventure worked with his thought and today, but we can grasp its great relevance because the principle highlighted was valid yesterday and is still valid today.
Il principio portato in evidenza valeva ieri e vale anche oggi.
St. Bonaventure embodies the spirit of dialogue and continues to offer the Church guidance and a model of how to navigate differences.